Hello everyone, welcome to another GIS and Mathematics lecture video. And in this lecture video I want to talk about converting from negative and multiple rotation to a single rotation positive coterminous angle. Now, I threw a lot of terminology in here, right? Single rotation, positive, coterminous, right? These were all things that we discussed in the previous video. So if you're scratching your head a little bit, I would encourage you to go back and watch that video first or watch it again if this is confusing. Now, the reason that you might be doing this is because if you've seen the videos talking about converting from degrees to radians or doing any sort of work going forward, right, it's far easier to work in that landscape of 0 to 360, right, rather than 720 or negative 45, right? It's far easier for everything, and it's far easier to conceptualize and to think in that realm of 0 to 360 or 0 to 2 pi. So going from a negative angle or a multiple rotation to a single rotation positive angle through this idea of coterminous angles will simplify your life greatly, because what you'll find is that a negative angle has the same value as the positive coterminous. And if you have multiple rotations, right, that's going to have the same ultimate angle value as a single rotation, but it's just far easier to think about. And so what I want to do is I want to go through some example with degrees and some examples with radians. So let's start with degrees first. So let's say that we have an angle of 800 degrees, right? And we want to say, well, what is the single rotation positive coterminous angle? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at this and say, well, is it greater than 360 degrees? Because if it is, that means we have a multiple rotation. So the answer in this case is yes, it is. So all you're going to do when you have multiple rotations is subtract 360 degrees until the result is less than 360 degrees, but greater than 0. Right? Okay, so let's apply this logic, right? Multiple rotations, subtract 360 until your result is less than 360, but greater than 0. So 800. Let's go ahead and subtract 360 once. If we do that, right, we get 440 degrees. Well, that's still greater than 360, so we're going to do that again. Right, 360. If we do that again, we get 80 degrees. Right, so 80 degrees in this case is the single rotation positive coterminous angle of 800. Hopefully that makes sense. What if the angle is negative? Let's do negative 45. We kind of already talked about this one before. Let's just solve it explicitly. Let's say negative 45, right? What is the single rotation positive coterminous angle? Well, in this case, right, negative angles, and this includes negative multiple rotations, right? Instead of subtracting, you add 360 degrees until the result is greater than 0, but less than 360. right? So we're kind of doing the opposite, right? With positive multiple rotations, right? We were subtracting until we went between 360 and 0. With negative numbers, and again, this could include multiple rotations, but with negative numbers, you add 360 until you're between 0 and 360. So let's go ahead and just do this once. Negative 45 plus 360. What do we get? Well, we get 315 degrees, right? 315 degrees is greater than 0, but less than 360. So 315 is the positive single rotation coterminous angle of negative 45. Hopefully that made sense. So this is degrees, right? We're either subtracting if it's positive multiple rotations, or we're adding if it's negative multiple rotations. But let's talk about what happens with radians. Right, how do we deal with radians? Well, we can do the same thing, right? We just now, instead of using 360, we use 2 pi. So let's talk about multiple rotations. And let's say we have 3 pi, right? I already know what this is going to be. Maybe you do too, but we have 3 pi. Okay, so what do we do with multiple rotations? We simply subtract 2 pi until the result, is between 0 and 2 pi. So let's take 3 pi as our example here. So 3 pi, right, it's greater than 2 pi, so we know we have multiple rotations. We're going to subtract 2 pi, right? 3 pi minus 2 pi is 1 pi. Right, is 1 pi between 0 and 2 pi? Yes, it is. So we stop. And we say that 1 pi is the single rotation positive coterminal angle of 3 pi. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. What if it's negative? What if we have a negative angle? All right, what if we have negative 3 pi? Well, we do the same thing as we did before with degrees, right? We add the equivalent, which is 2 pi. So we add 2 pi until the result is between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, right? Negative 3 pi. Since it's negative, we know we have a negative angle, and we're going to add 2 pi. So we're going to add 2 pi. That's going to give us negative pi. We're still negative, so we're going to add another 2 pi, and that's going to give us pi. So we know here that the positive single rotation coterminous angle of negative 3 pi is pi. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, as always, please reach out. Thank you.